You may want to check out my videos where I go into detail on removing the metal siding on our home. But once that siding was removed, the next thing that I needed to do was remove the metal trim around the roof line and along the porch areas, along the patio areas of the house. In some ways, removing this trim was more labor intensive, actually trickier than removing the metal siding. And that meant, well, a lot of ladder work, but also a lot of cutting and a lot of concerns over safety. I highly recommend you wear heavy-duty work gloves when you're doing any work like this on the exterior of a home. Now, I'm not sure, but I believe a lot of this metal trim, along with the metal siding, had been installed at least 30 years ago. Could have been longer. And once I removed all of it, the wood underneath finally had a chance to breathe. It hadn't seen the light of day in, as I estimate, some 3 decades. I have no idea what a team of contractors would charge for this kind of work, but I knew it was something I could handle on my own. It wasn't something I did quickly. It took me at least a month to remove most of the siding and a lot of this metal trim. But once I got it out of there, painting the house, frankly, would be the easy part of this exterior transformation. When I peeled off the metal siding on our home, I realized that leaving the metal trim in place was not an option. So off the trim came, and I'll show a close-up of why it had to go. Here is one piece of metal trim. You can see the paint's chipping off. Painting over that would just be a futile exercise because any paint would just peel off right over that old paint eventually. So once I removed all this ugly metal trim, I could get a good look at the exposed wood underneath, and I knew that all I needed to do was blast this exposed wood with a garden hose, and that would knock out most of the dirt, a lot of the spider webs, and a little bit of sanding work after that, and this wood trim would be ready for paint. You don't need any expensive power tools to perform this type of work. A decent pry bar, some heavy-duty work gloves, a ladder. Really, that's about all you need to knock this type of project out. As far as hazards go, well, obviously you need to be careful on the ladder, but you might run into something like this. Here's an old wasp nest. Not really a danger though. This had probably been abandoned years ago. Here I am at the front of our home removing yet more ugly metal trim. Eventually I'll run this to the recycle yard where I won't make a lot of money on it, but at least I'll get it far away from our property. This stuff is a hazard and I don't want it lingering around. This whole project brings a whole new meaning to the term prep work, that is pre-paint prep work. Painting services will charge you a pretty penny for any kind of prep work. However, for prep work of this magnitude, it's a good bet that a lot more would be spent on removing metal trim, removing siding, than the actual painting itself. Here in front of the garage, I've got to remove this ugly vinyl trim. This stuff is particularly filthy. And once I get that out of the way, I just need to get this piece of aluminum trim removed. You can see the exposed roof line, and I'll paint that after I blast it with a hose. We have a Medieval Times not too far from us. Maybe I can sell them this piece of metal. They can use it for their jousting tournaments. Here's a view of our porch before I remove this wildly ugly soffit material, this vinyl material. It was sagging like that when we purchased our home. Near the front, I've already removed a little bit of it, and now I have to pull down the rest of it. And I fear what lies above that soffit material. Here's a view. Well, plenty of spider webs, lots of dirt. I have to watch out for black widows, that sort of thing. So if you're in a warm climate like we are, beware. I don't know if I'll ever paint this exposed patio ceiling. I really don't see a need for it. That exposed wood looks rather attractive on its own, certainly better than that ugly vinyl stuff that was enclosing it before. Anyway, please stay tuned for my continued exterior transformation series, and thanks for watching.